Hey everyone, what's going on? Echo1 Scout here. In the background, you're going to see me playing EVE Online, currently shipping stuff to a new home base. But that's not what the video's about. Today's video is about, we're going to do a vlog thing today. And I'd like to ask you all a question and maybe tell a story about things. So basically a couple days ago, something either made me really mad or really sad. And I was like, why do I even play video games? Like, I legitimately asked myself, why do I play video games? And that got me to think. You know? Because whenever you've played something or done a hobby or worked a job for as long as you have, you forget why you do stuff. And that's what I like to ask you guys. Why do y'all play video games? Tell me below. Maybe some of y'all can connect to the story that I'm about to tell about why I play video games. This is basically going to be a life story, so if you don't want to be really bored out about someone talking about their life, that'd be the time to turn off. But yeah, so why do we play video games as human beings? Well, it's a interactive medium. It stimulates the brain in certain ways that others can't. Than like a book or a video doesn't do. And you know, it's just a really different medium than those. It's a really interesting interactive medium. And that's great. But why do you really play video games? For some of y'all guys out there, it might just be a hobby. You know, it's like, I came home from work, I needed to relax, I came home from school, I needed to sit down and unwind, so I played COD that day or whatever. And for some of you others, it will go a lot deeper, like, you know, I don't have any way of interacting with anyone besides through a video game. I can do things in video games that I can't do in real life for people with disabilities. There's a lot of different reasons about why people play video games. One of them, which is the one I have, that I'd like to explain why, is I play video games because it's my social activity. It's how I make my friends. It's how I meet my friends. It's how I have friends. And, you know, that sounds pretty, I guess, normal for most people or the majority of the people. And I just like to talk about why that is, I guess. So I came into video games, you know, since I was 3. I think that's my earliest memory of playing a video game is 3. Can I fit this? On no space, okay. And you know, I came into it because at an early age, my parents fought a lot. My biological father and my mom. And they would fight a lot, you know? It's just like, so I found myself playing video games to sort of escape from like the household issues. But it started becoming way more than that as time went on. You know, I started kindergarten, I guess, is where, not kindergarten, that's way too early. We'll say middle school. So about 1st or 2nd grade came around. We'll say 2nd. And you know, you know how like there's always that one kid, maybe in the back of the class or in the corner of the class, who's super smart, but everybody bullies him because either A, he's not smart enough to be with the smart kids, he's not cool enough to be with the cool kids. Think of that kid right there, giving him blonde hair, and make him super duper skinny compared to all the other kids. So that was basically me in school. And you know, I didn't have many friends in school. I'd go to school, get bullied, you know, in some form or what another that day. And then I'd go home. And guess what I'd do when I get home? I'd get on, you know, dial-up internet. Did I have internet then? Wow. It's really hard to remember if I had internet then. But whatever. I'd go home and play video games, you know. And that's how I sort of started making friends. You know, I'd bring a Game Boy Color or Game Boy Advance to school. Play that. Meet someone else who had one, you know. And then we'd have, like, slumber parties. And, you know, and that's sort of how my life was for a long time. It's like, I brought things to school to do. And that's how basically I met friends. And, you know, then they would come birthday parties, we'd play on my GameCube or whatever. And that's sort of how it went on. And then I moved. Well, actually, before I moved, my family at the time, so at this point now my mom is remarried, and I have a stepfather named Roy. He's a great guy. I miss him a lot sometimes. And he didn't die or anything. They got divorced. And, you know, we had an issue where one of my family members, who I won't name here, was an ex-drug addict, I'm going to say. And had 2 children who were very loud, very messy children. She wouldn't clean the house at all, like, even though we'd asked her to. She never cleaned the house or anything. That sort of stuff. And, you know, me and my mom, we just got tired of it, and so we quite basically moved out into a shed. I don't know if y'all know, if y'all have ever seen a tool shed. It could barely fit a bed, and had racks on all the sides, and might have smelled like gasoline. A little bit. And that's where basically me and my mom lived for a couple months. I want to say about half a year we lived in that shed. Gonna say half a year. So basically, I'd only go inside to use the bathroom. That's the only time I ever went inside there. Other than that, I stayed in the shed or played outside. And you know, there's not really much to do in a shed, but luckily I had a laptop with Halo 1. And we had wireless internet, so for those of y'all who didn't know back there, you had a wireless card thing. If I can find a picture of one, I'll pop it up right now. And basically plug that into a USB port, and it would connect to like a cell phone tower, and that's how you get internet. And that's how I really started getting into like social gaming. Before then, you know, I played games like RuneScape and stuff like that, but it wasn't anything to the point where it's like talking one-on-one in voice chat channels with people. That's where it really all started. So I really started to get into like more of these social video games and talking with people who play video games. And you can see that because now I do a podcast with some of my buddies, and you know, we can talk about video games there. So you can see how all this transitions into what I do now, on the internet anyway. And it just got super fun. But then we moved again. And, you know, I didn't have internet. And this is where it gets really crazy. So, I came from an all-white school, primarily. So, what I mean by that is there's one African-American there. There's maybe one, I'm thinking of the politically correct word. Muslim. I'm just going to say Muslim. Arabic. Whatever. I don't know if that's not what their ethnicity is called. I'm sorry. But we had one of those, you know, we had some Hispanics, but it was like, you turn the corner, white kid, you go down the other corner, white kid, you go in class full of white kids. And you know, that it was really strange to go from that to the school district I would go to for the rest of my year. It would be a primarily African-American school and Hispanic school. So there were white people, but white people were very much the minority there. And you know, I never ran into racism at this point in my life. And you know, it was quite a shock. You know, to be, how old would you be in junior? Man, I'm not that old. I should remember this, like 14, 15 maybe in high school and junior high. And walking into like getting blasted with racism, you know, and this racism, you know, would lead me to, you know, getting jumped and beaten and all that jazz, all the fun stuff. And you know, the school district didn't really care. You know, they're like, you know what, you're white, they're this color, you obviously did something wrong because you're white. So it's like reverse racism sort of thing. Those of you who are into racism politics. And, you know, I was super confused. Like, I would walk literally from the gym to my next class, which at the time was drama. So I'd go from gym to drama. They are literally right next to each other. The gym and, like, the drama, the theater was built right next to each other. So it was literally a 10-feet walk. And in that 10-feet walk, someone would jump me at least once a month. I would say. And, you know, I'd get kicked out of school for 3 days for being basically the victim of a hate crime. Or a racist crime. I don't know. I guess it's a hate crime. And, you know, that was not okay. And, you know, I'd always come home and have video games, you know. And then I lived in an apartment complex at this time. So I'd meet all the other kids who played video games daily. So, you know, I think Brian was one kid's name. Really great kid. I think he was from, his family is from Guam originally. Really cool kid. You know, we go to his house one day, they go to my house the next day, and then we go to another one of my friends' house named Nathan. And we just all chill out. You know, we'd have super slumber parties. We'd play, like, Battlefront 2 a lot. We'd play COD a lot. You know, we do all this sort of fun stuff together, you know. And you know, that gaming has always been, like, my cement with people. You know, if you don't play games, I probably don't associate with you at that much. Sorry, real life friends. I love you guys. I really do. But video games, like, come on. No. I still have a lot of friends, you know, that don't play games that much or don't play games at all, you know. But it's like gaming has always been the cement of my relationships, you know. And then come, what is it? Junior high. So junior high was basically, you know, basically reverse racism, which pushed me away from basically the community of people. I did have a small community of friends, always, but, you know, you always felt like they either weren't really your friends, or, you know, something, you just felt something odd about them. Or, you know, some of them were genuinely my friends. Like, some of them, actually, I don't think I'm still friends with anyone from junior high. I might be friends with one still from junior high. Like, see, it's really hard for me to remember these people. But, you know, that's fine. That's junior high. And then we go to high school. And high school is where everything sort of changes with me. From an emotional level. You know, I went to high school in the same school. Not the same school, but the same district. And, you know, sort of changed. I really didn't get, you know, beat up anymore, stuff like that, for being white, which is really nice. I mean, honestly, it's great not to be beaten once a month for being white. I joined some career courses and stuff like that, which put me in a good crowd, you know. I primarily joined, until my senior year, I was really big part of AFJRTC. So if you don't know what AFJRTC is, it's Air Force Junior Reserve Officer Training Corps. And basically, it's like a citizens leadership class for high school. And I took that. I really loved it. You know, the instructors punished you, like, if you did anything bad. So, for instance, one kid... No, I don't even remember what he did. But basically, if you messed up in class, the teacher wouldn't warn you. You would get a talking to. And your grade would be affected because of how you acted in class. Super cool class. Like, I recommend it for anyone who has it in their school. Take AFJRTC or Army JRTC or Navy or whatever. I think Coast Guard has it as well in a couple places. But yeah, take it. It's a great class if you're into that sort of military thing. And, you know, I met a lot of friends there. I got a lot of friends that, you know, weren't tied to video games. And it was super cool. And I actually got to introduce a lot of them to video games. My ex at the time, who we started in sophomore year and broke up my junior year, I think. That was my first girlfriend. I introduced her to games. She's never actually played, like, a violent, quote-unquote, game before because her family just didn't allow that sort of thing. And, you know, she loved it. It's great. Like, if you have a friend who's never played or seen video games, highly recommend you introduce them to it, guys. It's super cool. Just seeing them light up in their eyes and, you know, taking them to an arcade for their first time. You know, it's super cool. So if you know any friends that have never touched a video game before, take them to an arcade. They'll love it. But I digress. But, you know, gaming wasn't any longer, like, the pinnacle of cementing of my friendships. It was now my actual courses in school that cemented friendships. But, you know, I still had issues making friends, you know, out of class. Being a very smart kid, you know, I took some advanced courses. So I'd be, like, a sophomore with seniors or a freshman with juniors, like, stuff like that. I'd be, like... So, you know, I was still out of the place. And, you know, I'd still go home, play video games with all my online buddies. One of my online buddies I met during high school is Nick. Hi, Nick, if you're watching this. We still hang out at least once a week. Right now, I think we play League of Legends a lot. I think is what our thing is. You know, and it's really cool that because it's really cool to see how all these issues in my life have led to me making friends elsewhere. And, you know, a lot of people say, you met people on the internet. That's not a real friendship. It is, guys. I hate to tell you, it's 2016. Well, social media is a whole nother story. I don't dwell into social media, so social media friends aren't real to me. But, no, and it was super cool. And then, you know, as school went on, you know, sort of the same story there. My junior year, I started joining communities, so like a gaming community. I think this one would actually be classified as a video game clan called Die Hard Gamers. Great group of people for Xbox players. I also have DHG on my Letterman. So, you know, I got my Letterman for AFJ RTC. If you're an AFJ RTC for 3 years, you get a Letterman. And so I got a Letterman in AFJ RTC. And I put DHG on a Die Hard Gamer, because that's what I am, you know? Despite the gaming community being called Die Hard Gamers, that's what I am. I play video games. That's what I do. You know? Need to get some containers down here. You know, but... And then, you know, I left DHG, you know. I started doing YouTube on my own. By now, my junior, senior year, I'm in audio video production. This is where I learned, like, the basics of editing, recording with video cameras and stuff like that. And... No, I needed to get out of my ship. Whoops. And, you know, it was a really great time. But then high school, you know, comes to a close again. At the end of high school, I joined another gaming community, which I'm still a part of. And, you know, it's a gaming community. It is a community of people. It's not, you know, just Xbox players, just PC players, just PS4. It's everyone. It's super cool. So that's how I interact with people nowadays, is I interact through gaming communities. And then all this tragedy has pushed me so far into video games. I got to go to RTX my senior year, which you don't know is the Rooster Teeth Expo, for the Rooster Teeth YouTube channel. And, you know, I went to my first actual social event around video games. I haven't been to another one yet, because it's expensive, for someone who's unemployed. But, you know, it's just super amazing going to that convention and, you know, talking with devs. One of the first videos I made on my YouTube channel is called Let's Look at Lightbound. I met the devs for that game at RTX, and I just loved getting to interact with all these games in development, about to be released, in a social setting. It was super amazingly fun. And I got to see a booth there. I didn't actually go up to the booth at the time, because at the time I was like, blah, video games, who cares about booths? If it wasn't a video game booth, I didn't get to see it. But I saw a booth. It was called the Able Gamers Foundation booth. Able Gamers Foundation, Able Gamers Charity, you can say whichever you would like. They're both correct. And, you know, I go home. We drive home. It takes about 9 hours for us to drive home. Because we had to go to Austin for the convention from where we lived. And I get on Twitch. Able Gamer Stream is right up on the front page of Twitch. I'm like, huh, that's interesting. So, you know, then I get to meet all these great people in this charity, you know, and I know some of them quite well. Some of them not so quite well, but I play with them a lot, you know. I play video games with them. I get to talk with them a lot, you know. It's so great how, like, me going to a convention and seeing a sign had put me with this charity now that I now volunteer for on a small basis. And it's just super cool to see video games do that. And now, you know, I have this podcast that I do. It's on hiatus right now. There'll be more news on that. But that's what video games mean to me, guys. I know that's a really long, basically, life story. I'm probably going to rename this to Video Games Are My Life Story. But, you know, video games are who made me the way I am today. You know, some people are going to be like, ha, nerd. And, you know, like, that's fine, dude. You can be immature. But it's like, video games have done so much for my life. They've helped me through depression. They've helped me through basically racial profiling and stuff like that. Which is really weird when you're white. Really weird for anyone. I apologize for making that sound elitist. You know, it's just super cool what video games can do in your life. And I like to hear some of y'all's guys' stories of what video games have done in your life. If video games are just a hobby, that's awesome. Like, it's a good hobby. It's an expensive hobby, but still, it's a good hobby. So, that's what we're gonna end on today, guys. What has video games done for you in your life? Have they helped you out on an emotional basis? Have they helped you connect with people? If you're disabled, have they helped you, you know, do things you haven't done before? Because I know a lot of people who are disabled love video games. That's why I'm in the Able Gamers charity. If you didn't know what they do, they help make controllers and games more accessible for people with disabilities. Go check them out. But you know, just tell me, what is your story with video games? You can either type it in a comment, make a video, and post in the comment. Just, what is your video game story? Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you next time.